And joining me now to explain directly to the president why he thinks he's right on the issue, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. Senator, welcome back. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, let's get your response to the president first.
Well, number one, Mr. President, after the FBI interviewed this young man and his mother, the CIA was contacted by the Russians in November, months later. He was put into a terrorist watch list, the TIDE system, I believe it is. He goes to Russia, and DHS finds out the fact that he leaves and he comes back, but they never tell the FBI or the CIA, so nobody knows what he did when he was in Russia. And when he got back in June of 2012, he created a YouTube channel on his internet site, on his Facebook page, and he embraced radical Islam for the whole world to see. And the rest is history. So, well, Mr. President, our systems are not working.
All right. The Russians warned us. The FBI interviewed him. The CIA had him on their watch list. And then you're right. I mean, very few people in the media have even discussed this YouTube video channel of his filled with radicalism. My question is, why was there no follow-up? Was he not put in a database that said, hey, watch this guy, watch when his name shows up on the internet? It certainly would have been a telltale sign.
That's the ultimate question. You know, less than 2% of the people in the TIDE database are American citizens or here in legal status. But we can't have a system where you interview a guy after you've been tipped off by a foreign government, you have a radical in your midst. He leaves the country, you don't know about it. He comes back and he gets on the internet for the whole world to see, and he embraces radical Islam. And it's either political correctness, stovepiping, criminalization of the war. I can't explain it, but the system to me is broken. I love the FBI, I love the CIA, but I don't know what's going on here. But we got 8 dead Americans killed in the last 7 months, 4 in Benghazi, 4 in Boston. And when you look at Boston and Benghazi, things are not working.
Now, I interviewed Michelle Bachmann, and she told me that she actually looked at the FBI training manuals and that they have been purged of any references to radical Islamic jihadists. Now, she went and compared them.
That may be true.
What's that?
Yeah.
Well, that's political correctness, isn't it?
Yes, there's 3 things here. Information sharing doesn't exist the way it should. When he leaves the country, DHS picks it up, but they don't share it with the FBI or the CIA. That's back to the old 9/11 stovepiping. I think political correctness is not monitoring these people's Facebooks and websites. What gets me is that it was not hard to understand he was becoming radical before our eyes, but nobody really picked it up. And when we found the photos of the 2 guys after the bombing, how could that not alert the system? You'd already interviewed this guy. When they were asking the whole country, do you know these 2 guys? The question is, why didn't the FBI know they had already talked to them?
There's one other component, though, and that is anybody that's posting radical jihadist videos ought to be being monitored, in my view.
Yes.
All right, there's 2 other points here, though. So our intelligence failed us, but yet Sherlock Napolitano races out there to tell the American people something she doesn't know is true. And that is, there's no broader plot. Well, 3 people were arrested today. That sounds to me like there's some evidence out there that there is a broader plot.
She has no idea. It sounds like Susan Rice all over again. Right after Benghazi, there's no evidence of an al-Qaeda connection here. This is a spontaneous riot caused by hateful video. Did you see the 3 guys that the FBI released photos of in Benghazi 8 months later?
Yeah.
Do they look like protesters to you?
No.
I mean, what's going on here? I mean, Benghazi is 8 months old. Nobody's been arrested. And the survivors have never been allowed to be talked to by the Congress. This administration's investigating itself. And I'm urging the president, challenging this administration, allow the survivors to come forward without the fear of being fired.
So where do we go from here? I know you have called for a joint select committee to investigate the Boston bombings and Benghazi. Where do we go from here?
Well, the House is stepping up on Benghazi. They're having new hearings. But the FBI, the CIA, and the Department of Homeland Security all need to be looked at, not separately, but jointly, to learn from our mistakes. Again, I love the FBI and the CIA, but when Napolitano says there is no connection here to a broader plot, she had absolutely no way she could have known that soon. And the more you know about these 2 guys, they certainly didn't learn all this in the bottom of their basement. And this administration doesn't want to admit that al-Qaeda, bin Laden's dead, but radical Islam's on the rise. We need to up our game.
All right. Thank you, Lindsey Graham. We'll continue to follow it, and we got to get to the bottom of it, or else it's going to keep happening. Bottom line.
Amen.
We got
Amen.
to keep our foot on the gas.